Look at that, people. Okay, so today we are going to be making this monstrosity. Look at the size of this thing. This is 5.62 pounds of, yeah, that's right. Slap that meat, girl. USDA choice beef ribeye roast. I mean, it's got 1, 2, this bitch has 3 bones in her. Think about that. Anyway, on to the video. Okay, so the first step of this recipe is we actually have to marinate the roast the night before we make it. So that's what we're doing right now. This is the roast. As you know, it's huge. I got it at Kroger. It was $70.19. So we got to make garlic butter is the first step of this recipe. So instead of going out and buying garlic butter and getting my wife sick, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make garlic butter, aka butter juice. So what you're gonna need for that is salted butter or unsalted butter, but you're gonna have to add salt later, so you might as well get salted butter. This is imported from Europe. Some rosemary. You don't have to use rosemary. You can also use parsley, but for this recipe, I prefer rosemary, so that's what we're gonna use. And some garlic. I actually bought pre-peeled garlic. It just saves me a little bit of time, and as you know, time is money. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start by opening up the garlic, bust out 2 of the cloves. You know what, we're gonna actually use 3 cloves. So what we're gonna do is right now, we're gonna actually smash it, smash it, smash it. And now we're gonna actually chop it up. So watch your fingers, because as you know, I tend to cut mine off. I'm just gonna chop it like this, amateur style. See, slip and slide. It's a very sharp knife. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna separate half the butter this way and this half. And with the half butter we put over here, we're actually gonna just smush it really good. One more time. Almost make it into a paste so it gets all that garlic juice out, okay? Okay, just like so. And we're gonna take some of the rosemary, not that much, I don't know if you can see that. We're gonna go ahead and chop that up real fine. Oh, if you could smell the rosemary and garlic right now, you'd be in heaven. It smells like we're on a Santorini. Never been, but this is what it probably smells like. Garlic and rosemary. So go ahead and chop that up. Now we're gonna go ahead and mix all this together. And then continue to just chop it. Chop, 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 chop. So now that that's done, we have the room temperature butter. We're gonna actually bust this open. I'm not gonna use the whole thing. We're just gonna use half of it because that's all we need for this. So we're gonna go ahead and cut off half. So now what we do is we cut them into little teeny slices like this, about let's say 1/4 inch thick. Not very girthy. Okay. This is not really the knife that you should be chopping butter with, but that's all we got out right now. So you got to go with what we work with. Now what you're gonna do is we're gonna actually smear. How do you say it? Smear. You know what? We're gonna use a spoon. This is not working. We're gonna use the spoon technique that they taught me in France. Just go like this. Just work it, work it. So we're just gonna go ahead and work this in. Brings a whole new meaning to spooning. Sorry, bad joke. This isn't quite soft enough. I could have waited another hour, but I'm on a time crunch. It's almost bedtime. I want to get this steak done. So we're gonna go ahead and get this all smushed up and be right back. The butter is almost done. We're just gonna go ahead and give it a couple more good swashes, and then we kind of make it into a little ball. Juliet, get away. So make it into a little butter ball. Butter ball. That was my nickname in high school. Just kidding. It was cash money. And there you go. $10 if anybody eats that as is. But that is how you make homemade garlic butter, rosemary garlic butter. And then you go ahead and put that in the fridge and it's gonna harden up and then you'll be able to use it. You can't come this way, Juliet. So then this is my little butter container. So that's the first step of the recipe. Is we are actually going to get this little mixture together. What this is ground up decaf coffee, because my wife's pregnant so she can't have caffeine, and some pink Himalayan salt. Kaylin, calm down. See what I put up with? So anyway, it's ground decaf coffee and pink Himalayan salt. So that's what we're gonna rub onto the gigantic meat. So we got a piece of cellophane down here.
Why are you putting coffee on?
Just calm down. So we're gonna go ahead and put some right down here. We're gonna go ahead and open this up. And again, this is gonna sit in the fridge for about 20 hours. And I know people are gonna say, oh, you can't do that because it's gonna take all the moisture out. It's not. Trust me, it's not gonna take the moisture out. So we're just gonna go ahead and rub this all over this beautiful piece of meat, like so. And then we're gonna put some extra virgin olive oil on there, down here on the plate. And that's gonna help everything stick. So just go ahead and flip it. Yeah, there we go. Just keep rubbing it in. Like I said, we're gonna pour it all on. Get a nice crust over the whole thing. Even if your wife yells at you, still do it. So you're probably wondering, what are we gonna do with the garlic butter? We're gonna use that for the actual cooking process. That doesn't go into play until we cook. So again, we're gonna put this in the fridge overnight. So I'm gonna have to use another piece of cellophane. We're actually gonna wrap this up. Wrap it, wrap it, wrap it. If I could learn how to rip cellophane. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap that. It's a really big piece of meat. That's what she said, I get it. They do it like they do it. If you're injured, they just go like this. So just go ahead and really wrap the crap out of it. Really good. Okay. So once that's wrapped up in cellophane like so, that is literally gonna go into the fridge. I'm actually gonna put tinfoil over it too. All right, I'm gonna put it on a plate, so if it does leak, it'll leak on the plate, but it shouldn't leak because this is pretty wrapped up. So that is what we're doing now. We're gonna put this into the fridge for, like I said, until we're ready to cook it, which is gonna be in about 20 hours. So yeah, the next step of the video will be some amazing, amazing cooking. Stay tuned. Okay, so the next step of the recipe is we want to actually preheat the oven to 450 degrees. So while the oven is actually preheating to 450 degrees, we're going to get on with the next steps. Okay, so we actually took this out of the fridge 2 hours ago and brought it to room temperature, so that you just want to let this sit out for about 2 hours and let it get to room temperature for the next step, which would be obviously unwrapping it from the cellophane. So we're gonna go ahead and unwrap that. Now that it's all unwrapped, this actually has bones on the bottom. So we actually use the bones as a natural rack. If you don't have one with bones, you can actually, you know, just use a rack. But since we don't need to do that, we're just gonna set it in here like so, and it'll stay. Well, it should stay upright. For the cooking process. But the next thing we're gonna do, we're actually gonna make a couple of slits in here and we're gonna insert cloves of garlic. So we're gonna just make a slit down here. Okay, one piece there. Just kind of, you know, evenly space them out. Piece there. There. One more piece over here. We'll go ahead and shove the garlic down in there. And then we're also going to put a A couple pieces of rosemary on there, like so. So that is ready to go in the oven at 450 degrees. So stay tuned. Okay, the oven is preheated. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna just set this in the oven like so. And we are going to put the timer on for 30 minutes at 450 degrees. Now what that's gonna do is it's the same thing as if you would put it out on the grill and char and sear the edges. This is gonna sear all the edges so the juices stay in the meat for more flavor. So in 30 minutes, we're gonna come back and show you the next step. So now that the steak is roasted at 450 degrees for 30 minutes, we're gonna put it on 350 degrees. Rule of thumb is 16 minutes per pound. This is about a 6-pound steak. So we're gonna put it in for another hour and 30 minutes. So we're gonna go ahead and set the timer for an hour and 30 minutes. So in an hour and 30 minutes, we're gonna take this thing out and let it rest for 15 minutes and start eating. The moment you've been waiting for. It's been literally an hour and a half since we...
It's beeping.
Okay, the wife said it's beeping because it obviously is. We're gonna turn the oven off. The next thing you're gonna see, I'm gonna take the roast out and transfer it. Oh, that heat wave. Look at that. Holy moly. I'll zoom in on that, mother. Look at that, people. Okay, I'm gonna take it out of the oven and we'll get on to the next step of the recipe. Okay, so now that it's out of the oven, we're actually gonna set the timer again for 20 minutes because we wanna let it rest for 20 minutes. But while it's resting, we have to obviously remember earlier when we actually made this, the garlic butter. We're gonna put the garlic butter on right now while it's resting. Put a nice sized chunk right on top. We're actually gonna put 2 chunks on top because that's just what we're gonna do. And then we're gonna put a piece of tin foil on top, even though my buddy Gordon says not to. Put a piece of tin foil on top, and in 20 minutes, you're gonna see the final product. It's been 20 minutes, it's rested. I actually don't know why I put the butter here. I'm gonna put it on her piece after. Will you quit sniffing the receiver? Some people take the actual bone out before they cut it. This actually only has 2 bones. I thought it had 3. I'm gonna attempt to.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna cut it like. You want me to cut it in half?
I don't know. I don't know how to cut it.
I don't either. We're just gonna
What do you mean?
cutting in half.
How did it make you?
Please don't be cooked well done. Please don't be cooked well done. Well done, my ass. A word. Boom shakalaka. Look at that, people. That is pure goodness.
That's how you do it.
That is how it's done, son. So now we're gonna go ahead and divulge into this. We're gonna eat it. Yeah, so that is how you cook a ribeye prime roast. This is heavenly. So like it, share it, subscribe, make it. Comment below how you like to make it. I know it's a lot of anyway, you get the point. 614 Life. Peace and you're welcome.